Hello and welcome.
To where?
Mental Recovery.
What is that about?
It's a mental health podcast brought to you by men from the male's perspective.
Oh,
Right? It's
That's
pretty interesting.
pretty good one.
Yeah. I wonder who came up with that.
Yeah, I don't know. But today's broadcast is brought to you by... No, I'm just kidding.
Right? Not yet.
One day.
Yeah, hopefully soon. But welcome back, everybody. Those who decide to come back and listen. This is Mental Recovery.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming back. This is Mental Recovery, a men's mental health recovery podcast from the male perspective for whoever wants to listen.
From the males, for the males. Women, you are more than likely listening as well.
You're welcome to.
We're okay with that. But this is going to be the official
Yeah.
first podcast with a topic, with us trying to stay on track. Probably not going to happen, but we are going to try.
We will do our best.
We will try. But today's podcast, we're going to talk about more, just like the other ones. It's going to stay on topic of losing a loved one, being an animal or a person, somebody that you just love. That's really it. It's going to be us talking about family that we've lost, animals that we've lost, what we thought, how we went through it, how we talk to friends, how we talk to family, just everything about it. And then we're going to have a little bit of a surprise towards the end of it. So
Really?
if you guys want to... What do you mean, really? We just spent all day figuring this out.
I didn't do anything.
That's true. I spent all day... No, just kidding.
Anyway, we're
But we
going
have
on
a surprise.
tangents immediately.
We want you to see it. We want
Yeah.
you to hear it, see what
Hopefully-
your thoughts are.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear your response of it.
Hopefully you guys like it. It's something that we've found a lot of entertainment in.
Yeah, and we're gonna stick to it. It's gonna be on every podcast from here on out.
Yep.
We hope you guys like it. It will be up on Instagram as well, most of it, not all of it. So if you want to hear the whole thing, stick around and you'll see it.
Yeah, we'll do our best to post whatever it is on basically any and every platform that we end up on.
Yeah, before we release, we will do a little snippet of it. We will let you see it. After the podcast is out, then of course you can see it on the podcast, listen to it on the podcast, see it on YouTube, see it on Instagram, wherever we have it. Other than that, today's topic is going to be about losing someone. So let's start with a person. Which one was the hardest for you to lose so far?
The hardest one for me to lose so far would... See, that's really tough to actually put a number on because everybody means something to me. Granted, some do more than others, but the main ones that are coming to mind right now are my grandparents.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like mentally speaking, like which one...
Which one
hit you the hardest? Which one held you back the longest? Which one were you laying in bed the longest crying about? This isn't about which one you love the most. This isn't about which one you missed. Like, it's just which one hit you the hardest and was the hardest one mentally for you to get through.
If I had to do it based off of that, it would more than likely have to be my grandfather.
Okay.
My grandfather passed away, I believe, a year or two ago now. I don't remember the exact date, unfortunately. But for the last part of his life, he was in basically a memory care facility. He had Alzheimer's and dementia and the whole 9 yards. And the latter half of his life was just absolute hell. It hurt the most because we knew it was coming, and every day he lost a little bit of himself. It was draining on our whole family.
Yeah.
I hate to sound like that guy, but I didn't want to see him in his later days because that's not how I wanted to remember him.
Yep.
I wanted to remember him as the guy who came running out of the house when he saw me fall out of the apricot tree in our backyard. Ended up hanging from my ankle for like 5 minutes. I stepped on a branch and it broke. And I went, wee, uh-oh. And I was just screaming, crying, all that stuff, because I was scared.
Yeah.
And he came running out, and he lifted me up. Basically made me feel safe. But my grandfather was a wonderful man. There's no doubt, no lie about that. When I was a lot younger,
5, 6, what are we talking?
probably around that,
Yeah.
5 or 6, he would go out to, he was a mall Santa. He would go out to different malls and stuff like that and just give little kids a little snippet of joy. Sit on Santa's lap, tell him what you want for Christmas, all that stuff. So
he had the white beard, white hair.
Yeah, he was
all
actually part of the amalgamation of naturally bearded Santas.
Oh, okay.
It sounds made up, but it's not, which is surprising.
Well, Santa's not made up. He's real.
Yes.
Why'd you say it like that?
He is real.
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
But one day my mother took me to the mall that my grandpa was working at and said, "Why don't you go tell Santa what you want for Christmas?" And I went up and sat on his lap, looked up, and I said, "Hi, Grandpa." And for the longest time, that was the last day my grandpa did Santa. It wasn't until I was older, I want to say between the ages of 14 to damn near 20, 18, 19, 20, around that time. Probably closer to 17, 18. Around 13, 14, he got back into it. He would go to churches and do parties and stuff like that and do the whole Santa thing. My grandmother would go with him. She would dress up as Mrs. Claus. But he went to churches, schools, malls again, but very rarely because he wanted to do it for families. So he would do it for parties and stuff like that. It was around that time that both my grandma and grandpa, came up to me and asked, if I wanted to help out.
Mm-hmm.
And I told them, sure, I'll help out. I always like helping out. I was a Cub Scout, Boy Scout when I was going through schools.
Were you an elf?
Yes, I was an elf.
Knew it.
Have you seen Tim Allen's Santa Claus movies?
I'm going to say yes for this conversation.
So that means no. Basically, they had a head elf in the movie, and the elf's name in the movie was Bernard. And he dressed up in full regalia. It wasn't like the normal elf in the big old giant one-piece green.
Like Will Ferrell and Elf? Not that one? Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't like that. He wore, I want to say, almost like pirate-style clothing.
Okay.
Like the big puffy stuff and all that stuff. They got me a whole set. They got me the whole set from the hat to the boots. And I would go with them to their shows or to their parties, engagements, whatever you want to call it. And I would bring all the children up. I'd ask them their name, tell them to Santa, and bring them up, lift them up, put them on his lap. And then when they were done, I'll take them off his lap, give them a candy cane, and send them on their way. Or a bag of Famous Amos, the little chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah.
Those are bomb. I love those. But he did that for so long. He was doing that while I was well past 25. Granted, I stopped, like I said, around 18 or 19 because I started getting jobs and I couldn't go with him.
Yeah.
So it was my sister. She ended up going as well. She would sometimes dress up as Mrs. Claus, sometimes dress up as Santa's other helper. But
so you just have fond memories of all this time with them.
So many.
Yeah.
There were so many good memories. But it was near the end where he started to lose himself. This was back when he was living where I used to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
He started showing signs of dementia and Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
He would frequently forget everything, think he still had his Ford Ranger. when he got rid of it almost a decade ago.
Yeah.
But it was showing signs, and eventually it got to the point where it was happening so often, it was either put him into a mental care facility or put a geo tracker on him so we know where he is at all times.
Yeah.
Eventually he got so malnourished and weak, I didn't feel comfortable going to see him.
Because it wasn't Grandpa.
Yeah, to me, that wasn't him.
Yeah.
He was the big, jovial guy,
Yeah.
big white beard, big belly.
Yeah.
He was Santa.
Yeah.
He would go and give hope to kids and give them a little piece of joy during the Christmas season.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to remember him as
what he turned into.
Yeah, what he turned into. It's unfortunate to say, but that's how I felt.
Yeah.
So eventually, he did pass away. And my mom told me, and it hurt.
When he was there going through everything, how long was he there, and did you not see him?
At the mental care facility?
Mm-hmm.
He was there for probably, I want to say, between 3 and 5 years.
Okay.
So it was a long road down.
Did you only go like the first year and then start seeing how bad it was, or would you go like periodically?
I would go periodically.
Okay.
My mom would go every week.
Okay.
She would go up and check on him and all that stuff. But when I would go, we usually would go around Thanksgiving or Christmas.
Just holidays?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know that's a horrible thing, but I just didn't want to.
I mean,
it was the same thing with my sister.
It's not a horrible thing to say necessarily. It feels bad.
Well, it's because it's not horrible per se. It's more selfish than anything.
Yeah, that's what I was going to go to.
Yeah,
because in the end, you have to worry about your own mental health as well. Like, of course, it's your grandpa. You love him. Of course, it's family.
Oh God,
That's somebody you have very many memories with, and you couldn't ask for a better grandpa. But
not in the world.
At the same time, when he got to that point, that wasn't grandpa anymore.
Yeah,
he didn't even know.
The few times I did visit him, and this killed me when I went over there.
Yeah,
he didn't even know who I was. Yep. I probably spent 15 years with him when he was living with us at our house. He was my babysitter, basically. When I would get out of school, I would go home, Grandma and Grandpa would be there. They always were right there. I knew him for much longer than that, obviously. But it was just the fact of the matter that my whole life was with him. Yeah. And when he was gone, when he started to slip, it was manageable at first because I would be able to rein him in. Sorry, motorcyclist. I would have to bring him back in and tell him, Grandpa, it's me, Zach, your daughter's son. I am directly related to you. I'm not a family friend. I'm not... When it was getting worse, I would go visit him, and he would call me whatever name popped into his head.
Yeah.
And when a person is in a situation like that, when they're under the effects of that disease, you just have to go with what they're saying. Because if you fight them, it's just going to make them upset. It's going to make them...
You have to be selfless in that situation.
Yeah.
You have
to be Greg, or you have to be Jason. You have to be whoever they think you are.
Yep.
Because I talked with him probably 45 minutes about a hockey game that I wasn't even alive to be at.
Yeah.
And wasn't like broadcast on TV.
When he finally passed and you got the message, what was your first thought? Besides, he's gone.
My honest to God first thought was relief.
Okay.
And that the reason for that is he wasn't in pain. He wasn't forgetting anything. With my family, it is believed that when you pass on, all ailments and illnesses go away. And when you get up to wherever you need to go in the sky, you're you in your prime. So that's why, for me at first, it was relief.
Okay.
And then the sadness hit
Then
because I realized I wouldn't be able to see him again.
yeah. You had to have basically a selfish moment where every human does, where it's, of course, you're going to miss somebody you loved because that's somebody you loved. You got to be happy. Like you said, they're no longer in pain. They're probably in the best shape of their life. Everything else. But you just got to believe it. You just got to, for us, you just got to thank God that he's okay now.
He's no longer in pain. He's
more than okay now.
Yeah, he's better than he's ever been.
Yeah.
He's hanging out with all of his parents and his son because one of my uncles passed. All of our animals. He's just taking care of the whole family. And just...
I mean, even with that, with what we believe, like, he's been watching you ever since.
Oh, yeah.
He's saying, sorry for putting you through that. I'm going to be your hand now. I'm going to help you. And you know that for a fact. Because that's who your grandpa was.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're good. What this is about.
Yeah.
How hard did it hit the rest of your family? Without going into too much.
You know it hit my mom pretty hard.
Yeah.
That's an obvious thing. Yeah. My sister, it hit really hard as well. My dad, probably about the same as my mom because...
They were just close,
Yeah. But it hit my sister the worst.
Yeah.
Because when we went, I don't want to speak bad about my sister, so I think she only went to visit him once. And I can understand.
Yeah.
Because when she went over there, he was not having a good day.
Yeah.
Like, you know how some days they have good, some days they are bad.
Mm-hmm.
He was not on a good one.
Okay.
And it was just one thing after another, and she couldn't handle it.
But again, it's the selfish and the selflessness happening at the same time.
Yeah.
Because again, when you have somebody you love going through that, it is extremely hard mentally to see them and be okay. It's beyond words to even try to describe it if you haven't gone through it. But with that, it's like you said, if you go there and they call you the wrong name, whatever it is, you have to be okay with it.
Yeah, you have to roll with it.
It's not, this is a mental recovery. This is from the male perspective. This isn't one of those parts where you have to man up and go, okay, I'm this guy. Like, okay, he called me Mike. Now I'm Mike. We're not saying to man up on it. We're saying to help that person, you have to play the part.
Yeah, because if you
that
don't,
is somebody you love.
Yeah, because if you don't, it's just going to make them upset, irate, and they'll spiral.
And they don't know either.
Yeah, they don't know. Like, they're not figuring out one and one, like all that stuff in their head. They're trying to piece everything together. Everything's there. It's just the connections aren't following through.
Yeah.
Like, this point, instead of leading to this point, will lead down to this point. And that's where they get the names mixed up and all that stuff. Yeah. But it's...
Again, those are... it's hard to go through somebody with those illnesses because, like you're saying, it really is like, if I'm going off what you said, we can see that we have the coloring book, that the dots are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we got to connect all the dots. They only see 1 and 5. They don't even see 2, 3, and 4. And they just try to fill it in.
Yeah.
And if you can't fill it in with them, it's extremely hard for both parties.
Yeah. If you don't turn that number 5 dot into the number 2 dot and say, okay, instead of a building, we're making an airplane.
Yeah.
You're just going to make them mad.
Yeah.
You're just going to make them upset, and they're going to get scared because they know he knew in the back of his mind that he was going through this, and when he would have his good days, he would be a mountain of sadness because he felt bad for putting the whole family through this.
It's almost hard to say, but he remembers what he has forgotten.
Yes.
It's weird to say it again, unless you've been through it. It's just something.
Yeah, because it comes in waves.
Yeah.
It's not suddenly, oh, you don't exist.
Yeah.
It's
for 5 minutes. It's
I don't remember who you are, but I know you. You're this person. And then 5 or 10 minutes later, it'll be like,
oh, that's you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so with all that, right? If somebody is going through that, how would you be able to help them? If they needed help and they reached out to us, how could we help them?
If you were going through that or having a loved one that's suffering from that, best thing I could suggest, visit them and don't let the new them corrupt the them that you used to know, the them that would pull you out of a tree if you got stuck, or the ones that taught you how to ride a bike.
Yeah.
And most of all, do not argue with them. Just go with their story for that time. Maybe they'll remember something else later.
Basically, just to love them.
Yeah. Remember everything that they taught you and teach them.
Yeah.
They may not remember you, but they still feel all the same love for you every day.
Yeah.
Every day. And as much as you think it hurts you, imagine how much it hurts them. I 100% regret not seeing my grandpa more often.
Yeah.
But again, that was the selfish part of me going, I don't want this him to corrupt that him. And best thing I could suggest, if you want to go see him, go see him. Give them, maybe they're having a good day.
Yeah.
You will be the highlight of that day. You will be the light in their darkness, in their dark mind. You don't even need to talk about anything. Go there, play cards, play bingo, watch TV.
Yeah. Well, it's like you said, he is somebody that taught you how to love, and you had to show him what love was again. No matter what, you know this. He loves you. Yes. No matter what. You already know that. He will always love you. He will always be your grandpa. No matter what. You could see the new him, but you will always have the old him. You will always have those memories, and you will always cherish those memories. Even if you didn't go see him as many times as you wanted to, I promise you, he loved every moment you did.
I know. But that was probably the one that hit the hardest.
Yeah.
If I had to put or equate something to
like I said,
put them on even footing.
It wasn't who you loved them. It's none of that.
Yeah,
it's just
it's not because
which one was the hardest to get through. Which one was?
I can't. If you ask me who I love the most, I can't answer that.
Yeah, I mean I can, but that's because I just had a totally different relationship.
Yeah, it's the family dynamic.
Yeah, exactly. But because the same thing. If I had to talk about what hit me the hardest, it was my grandma.
You can't ask me who I loved the most. You can ask me who I liked the most, though.
Because you love them all equal.
Yeah, because most of the time when it's your family, it's sort of the thing where you have to love them. Unless they did something completely stupid and wrong, depending on the situation.
Yeah.
You have to love them.
Yeah. No, because mine
don't have to like them.
I love all my family, but my grandma will always be above everybody. That's just how it goes for my family, at least. Like when my grandma passed away, that was the hardest for my family because my mom got closer. It was my dad's mom. It was my grandma on my dad's side. But my mom ended up getting closer to her than she did with her mother until she also got sick, but that was years later. But when my grandma on my dad's side passed away, it hit everybody, being me, my dad, my mom, my sister to a certain extent, and my brother to a certain extent. But it hit me and my dad the most. Easily. Because my grandma, like you said, like your grandpa lived with you. I live right here, and you already know. My grandma lived 2 doors next to me. I turned the corner, and there's her house.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a time I was not over there for Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune. We would have dinner at 6, watch Jeopardy, watch Wheel of Fortune.
I love Jeopardy.
I'd walk home, and she'd call. If I didn't call her by 5 minutes, she would call. And there was a lot of times I forgot. But she would always call. And this is back when we had landlines. I know that's crazy to think about.
Right?
But,
calm down, Gen X.
But we had
Gen
landlines.
Z.
And she would call the house phone, and I would answer. And she'd be like, you didn't call me. And I'm like, I'm sorry, Grandma. And she's like, okay, I love you. Love you too. See you tomorrow. Okay. Every time I forgot to call. And if I didn't, I'd call her and say, I love you. And she said, thank you for calling me. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yep.
Every time.
Just like how we do now. You say, always let me know when you get home. And sometimes it takes a little while because I have things to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's just you.
Yeah.
But
and I'm hungry.
Yeah, you'll text me 3 hours later. But
I'm sorry.
But that's stuff that she taught me.
Yeah.
She how I am today is her.
Yeah.
Easily.
That's
like, my parents taught me how to live. My grandma taught me how to survive. That's just what it is. My grandma taught me love. She taught me hate. She taught me remorse. She taught me everything I know. No matter what happens. For her especially, she always told me love is above. That's just what it does. She will always make sure. She told me never go, like when people say never go to sleep mad. She said, no, you can go to sleep mad. Never go to sleep without saying I love you. Never go to sleep without giving them a kiss. No matter what it was. My grandparents were married for, I think it was 60 plus years. She got sick because of drinking and smoking for most of her life. And when she ended up in the hospital, it was about a month after I got home from being discharged. I came home. My life was I was already sad. I was already pretty mad about everything.
Yeah, which is understandable.
I go over there, and me and her always talked about if she ever went to the hospital, she probably won't come out. She just smoked and drank way too much, and she knew if she went, they'd find all this stuff wrong and just want to do it and try to fix her and all this. And she wasn't 60 years old. She was 70, 80 years old. So then when she finally went, I went the day before. And she made sure when I left that night that she was like, hey, come here, give me a kiss. Gave her a kiss. And she said, I love you. I was like, Grandma, don't say it like that. Please don't say it like that. You're going to the hospital. They're going to figure out what's wrong. You're going to come home soon after. We'll be able to watch Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune. And she said, remember what your back tattoo says. Remember Ciotos. This is somebody that's never had tattoos, never seen really tattoos other than on other people. She wasn't very fond of me getting one, but she was the one that said, remember what that means. I love you. That was the last thing she told me. I love you. And I thank God that's the last thing I heard from her. Because I wasn't sure if that was going to be it or not. At all. And she went to the hospital, and she was there for a good month. I never went once to see her. I wanted to, but the difference was my parents would not let me go. I was already in a bad place. And seeing her how she was there would have made it worse. And everyone honestly thought I would probably break her heart because she wasn't the strongest person. She wasn't, she was an old lady. She was my grandma.
Yeah.
But she was always strong enough. You know what I mean? And so my parents, even my aunts, were like, if you go and see her how she is, it will hurt her more than it will hurt you. Basically, how you felt with your grandpa, seeing him as somebody else.
Yeah.
They said she wasn't who she was. And it was just hard for everybody. And then it was December 22nd, the day after the world ended in 2012. I got the text when I was going to work that she passed away. I still went to work. I cried in my car for about 5-10 minutes, worked the whole night, came home, played video games, went to work the next week. It didn't hit me till like a week after.
That's usually how it goes.
It was like I saw my dad cry for the first time. I've never seen him cry. I saw my mom taking care of him, which again for my family household was weird. And it was just seeing that just showed how much my grandma played a part in all of our lives. And when she left, it was just hard. Like at that first week, it wasn't. The first week I was like, stuff happens. We talked about it. Last words were, I love you. All this other stuff happened. Like it's really hard to put everything together right now. And then once that week passed and I finally went over to their house again to say hi to my pop, my grandpa, never called him grandpa. His name was Pop. It was weird seeing her chair without her in it.
And that's when it hit.
And I walked right outside. I couldn't control it. It was hard. But that was easily the hardest one. Even when my grandpa got sick and he ended up passing away, he ended up getting Alzheimer's. Like severe. He couldn't remember my name. And I'm named after him. And like that was it for me. I went over the last day before my aunts took him to New Mexico because they're selfish. And I went that last day to say, I love you. Maybe see you in New Mexico, maybe not. And then he just could not remember my name. Even my dad was like, do you know who you're talking to? He's like, no. He's like, that's your grandson. Oh, what's his name? I don't know. Chris. He's named after you, Dad. Like my dad told him that. And it was just, that was hard. But
yeah,
nothing compared to my grandma.
Yeah, something like that to me would be gut-wrenching.
Yeah. No, it was hard, but I was like, even with him, it was the same way. I remember going over there and playing Frisbee with him. And I remember he couldn't throw it regular. He couldn't pull his arm all the way up and throw it. He had cancer in his neck when he was younger, and they had to cut a bunch here, and they had to cut his ear off. He used to just throw it under. That was it. I always thought it was crazy. I tried to do it and throw it in the street, and he would yell at me. But every time my grandma would be the one that would have my back. He's just trying to do what you're doing. She always had my back. That is why me and her were the closest. Again, why I wear this ring. It will never come off. The only time it would ever come off is if I got married and I turned it into a wedding ring. That's it. Like my grandma will be with me forever. But same reason my back tattoo hasn't been touched up. Doesn't have any tattoos around it. That will stay there for her. Because that is the only one I had when she was alive. That tattoo is mostly for her. If anybody ever says, hey, don't touch my tattoo. Like, no. She's the one that taught me everything. But it was the same, like the logic side of it made it harder for me to really react to it. And like that is one of the moments I wish I could have reacted. That is one of the moments I wish I could have just fell to the floor and cried.
Yeah, reacted with your heart instead of using your head.
It was just hard. Because it was just...
Because that's how you were brought up.
Yeah.
That's how you were raised.
So I looked at it like, she's gone, but no one lives forever.
Yeah.
I'm going to cry for 5 minutes because I miss her. But I'm always going to have her. But I'd much rather cry for 20 minutes and say how much I love her over and over again. But it was just hard. It was just logic going, all right. And it was just, it is what it is at that point. So it was like, same as yours on how hard it hit, but you were more emotion.
Yes.
And you were able to use it for that. Mine was more logic, and I wish it wasn't. So it's like the same. If somebody asked me how did I get over it, I would not be able to really help them unless they want to think logically about it.
Yeah.
Then it's more of, you love somebody, They took care of you your whole life and now they're gone. You have to look at it as life. You have to look at it as she wasn't going to live forever. He wasn't going to live forever. It wasn't going to live forever. But I have all these beautiful moments with that person, and I'm going to remember those. And that's all I need.
Yeah, when someone is in the winter of their existence, you need to be there for them.
Yeah.
As much as you can. I'm not going to say every minute of every day, because most people can't do that.
Yeah.
Because they have day jobs. They have things that they need to do.
When your grandpa passed away, did you go to your family about it?
I don't think I went to anybody. I think this is the first time I've actually spent time talking about it. Yeah, when Mom told me, I cried. I talked with her a little bit, but as for a full-on spiel, this is the first.
Yeah.
And it's, in a way, reminding me of the good.
Yeah.
Because there were so many good memories, so many highlights that I can just roll through in my brain and just remember everything about him. I still remember the exact place they lived when they moved out, and then the facilities that they went to after they needed help. I remember everything.
So if somebody's going through it right now, right? We're talking about this and something resonates with you and you feel how we felt. What do you think they would be feeling?
That's really tough to...
what do you hope they're feeling? Because mine is, if we're talking about this stuff and they're, you're listening right now and you just thought of your grandma, you just thought of your dad, you just thought of your aunt, your uncle, your kid, anything, and you lost them. I would hope that listening to us talk about this is you feel the sadness that you felt, but you know the love that they gave and that you gave back. That you understand that even with this sadness, this little bit of selfishness that every human has, that we also have this selflessness to look back on all the good memories, all the good times, all the birthday parties, the holidays, the weekends, the pool parties, anything you had with them. You can look back at that and go, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember how they laughed. I remember how they made me laugh. I'm hoping that you guys listening to it, you can remember that.
If I can, going back to the question that you asked, how I hope they feel.
Yeah.
I hope they feel relief. Because that's how I would view it. Because, again, that's what my family believes.
Yeah.
They're no longer in pain.
Yeah.
They're safe. They're waiting. You will see them again. You will see them on the other side. And whether it be grandparent, parent, distant family member that you grew close to, even pets, they're safe. They're waiting. They're happy.
They're being loved and they're loving.
Every second of every day. Just like how the Hispanic culture has the Day of the Dead.
Yeah.
Dia de los Muertos or whatever. Just because my family doesn't have a memorandum or whatever it's called, I need to do more research in that culture. Just because we don't have one of those doesn't mean that they're not in our hearts. My family, you've been to my house.
Mm-hmm.
How many pictures we have on the mantle?
Yep.
Just of everybody. I can go through that whole mantle, all 40 some odd pictures that are up there, and tell you the name of every single person in that picture. Because not only are they in here, they're right in here. I carry them with me every day. Granted, with my tattoo, it's not like yours. It's much smaller. I put it on the back of my calf. it's my family's crest. Half from my mother's side, half from my father's side. That way, every day when I get up and get ready for work, all I have to do, or even at work, because I wear shorts most of the time, I could just look down at my tattoo and be like, they're with me. They're here. They're happy. I'll see them again soon. Not too soon, but I'll see them again soon.
I don't know if I ever asked you this. Did you put it there for a reason? Because like me looking at it, I would have it there for a reason, and like you having it there, are like I have an idea in my head that it would represent.
Well, it's something similar to your tattoo, how you have it across your back.
Mm-hmm.
It's always going to be something that is going to be with me, but I'm not going to keep it right at the front. I'm not going to keep it as a barrier to prevent me from moving forward. I'm going to use their help to push me forward. Have them help me and guide me through life.
Okay. I was like, because that's how I'm looking at it. I never thought about it until right now. I was like, yeah, because you have it on your legs. They're helping you each step that you take. They are pushing your leg forward and saying, hey, don't ever fall back. Go forward, move forward. Yep. Just like you said, mine's on my back, not as, like you said, a barricade on the front. Mine's on my back because when you leave, when you walk out of somebody's life, when you're gone, if I wave and say goodbye, I'm going to turn around and walk away. And I want the last thing you to remember is what's on my back, saying, see you on the other side. That even though I said goodbye, this is never farewell. This is never forever. Yeah. I will see you again. So I just wondered. I just thought about it right now. But
yeah, I see it for the location that I got mine as a driving force to push me forward.
Yeah.
Most of what I do is for them. Granted, I do have some selfish impulses.
Of course.
Like I bought a record player today. Even though I don't have any records, but I'm going to change that.
I have a couple. We'll try it out.
Okay. It doesn't sound very good because it has Bluetooth as well.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. It's one of the little suitcase ones.
Before we get on tangent, sorry. We're going to end it for this segment.
Yeah.
With if you lost a loved one or you have a loved one going through a hard time,
whether it be mental illness or physical illness like cancer or something like that.
Just anything.
Yeah.
Take the time. Tell them, I love you.
Yeah. Go see them again.
Even if they don't say it back, know they want to. Know they love you. Know you're worth it. Yeah. Know you're enough. Because just like them, they're enough.
Yeah.
They should have that time with you. And you should make the time for them.
I'm not going to say something like they won't say it. Maybe they can't.
Exactly.
Maybe they're in a comatose state, and the doctor's telling you, hey, they have a 15% chance of pulling through. But by that time, their organs will fail. It is your choice if you wish to keep them or keep them on whatever medication, or let them go to rest. But
in the end,
yeah,
love helps and love heals.
A surprising amount.
Exactly.
And not only them.
You as well.
Yeah. It will help you
recover.
Yeah. That's the main thing.
Exactly.
It's like the 5 stages of grief. Because there's denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance, I think. I may have gotten some of them mixed up.
I'm not really sure because, again, I have 5 minutes to do my stuff. So,
but you know what I mean.
Yep.
Because you got to think. Somebody gives you news and you're like, no.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. And then you go through the 5 stages.
Yep.
That was how it was with me. But anyway. Are we going to tell them the surprise?
I'm just going to say it one last time. Tell them I love you. And it will help. And it will heal.
And if you can, give them a hug.
But with all that, we hope that we helped you. We hope that you see some kind of recovery. And now this is the new part. It's a surprise. Do you want to say what it is or you want me to?
You can go ahead.
All right. So what we're going to do on these podcasts, or we're going to try to stay on a topic, talk about it, talk about what it did and how we recovered from it, how it helped us. Then we have an AI generated, I guess, storyteller that we write down. We're not going to give you the name of it, but
yeah,
we'll write down a sentence or two. We could write a paragraph, whatever we want to do.
Yeah.
We end it.
Really quick. For the record, we don't own it. We're using it. It's a website. You guys can go find it if you want to look it up.
Yeah,
but
it's an AI story generated website.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're going to write a couple sentences based on what the topic of the podcast for the day was. We're going to have a good maybe 10, at most 20 minutes normally of a story. We're going to read it, and then for maybe 5 minutes after, if it brings up anything that we didn't think about for the podcast, we're going to talk about it a little bit, and then we'll see you next time. So here's the story. You want me to read it?
I think I can do the first, and then you do that one, and we swap out, or do you just... What do you want to do?
You want to do half and I'll do half? Or you want me to read it?
Yeah, I can read the first three.
Okay.
And then you can get the remainder if you want.
Yep.
Okay.
So, as you know, the topic today was losing someone.
Yes.
And grief comes with it. Acceptance comes with it, like you said. So, the story for this, we wrote 2 sentences, and then the AI took over. We're going to read the sentences that we wrote, and then we're going to read what the AI wrote. So we hope you guys enjoy the story. We did not write it. AI wrote it.
Yeah. I will tell you when the prompt that we entered ends. So, this is what Chris had written down. English is hard.
English is hard and he's about to read. Oh no!
Have faith. I couldn't believe she was gone. Yesterday she was telling me how much she loved me. Now I'll never hear her voice again. I'll always love you. I promise. That was the prompt. This is what the AI generated. She left this note for me when she went to work, and it broke my heart to read it. But I had to get out of the house before I started crying all over everything. I can't do anything around here anymore. I'm starting to cry just thinking about what happened, and I don't want to do that in front of my little Riley. He's so sweet. He doesn't deserve our grief. I'll be back soon. I hope. I've been trying to think of a way to explain things to him. I know it will take some time, but I've come up with something because I can see how sad he already is. His face looks like someone punched him right between the eyes. He asks where Mommy is every day, and I just tell him she's at work doing important stuff. That seems to make him feel better. It makes me feel better too. I miss her terribly, and I wish I can go back and change it all. But I can't. So I have to keep on going without her. It feels good having him around. Even though he doesn't talk much, he still brightens my day. I didn't realize how hard it would be being alone. I was used to sharing everything with her. It's not the same watching TV or eating dinner by myself. I really don't like cooking, but I guess I'll have to if I want to eat. I haven't seen anyone since I came home from work. The mailman delivered the bills and packages, but no one else has shown up. I'm sure they're busy, though. They probably have their own lives to live. I don't blame them. After all, I did walk away from mine. The house is quiet, except for the sound of Riley playing downstairs. He likes to play by himself sometimes, but I always watch him closely. He's only 2 years old, and I worry that he might hurt himself. I promise I wouldn't let him fall down the stairs, and I plan to keep that promise.
It's already getting real.
Right?
Whew. I made a sandwich for lunch today. I remember how much she loved tuna fish sandwiches. I think of her often and imagine what it must be like in heaven. I know she's happy and healthy now. I can't wait until I join her there. I'm going to miss her more than words can say, but I know I'll see her again someday. I know she won't ever leave me. We have something special and I'll never forget it. After eating, I took a shower and got dressed. I thought about calling in sick to work, but I'm worried about money. I can't afford to lose my job. I have to start looking for another one as soon as possible. My boss said I could use the phone to look for jobs, but I don't want to bother her. She's very nice to me, but I know she has a lot of other responsibilities. I'll have to call tomorrow. Riley's napping upstairs when I heard him crying, so I rushed up to check on him. He seems okay, but I'm going to stay nearby just in case. I think he must have gotten scared when he woke up. I know he gets nervous easily and he tends to freak out if we move him from one room to another. I need to get back downstairs before he wakes up, though. I don't want him to be scared or lonely. Right now, he's sleeping peacefully on his bed, and that makes me happy. It feels strange being here alone, but I know I'll get used to it eventually. I'll have to just be patient and try to focus on the positive. Wow.
Yeah.
That got real. That stayed on topic. So, with that story, how does it make you feel? Does it remind you of anybody? Does it make you think of anyone? Does it make you think of something that you lost, that you loved? What does it make you feel?
Remorse and sadness, because I can understand that feeling.
Yeah.
The feeling of losing someone. Granted, someone taking their own life isn't something I personally had to deal with. I mean, depending on the situation.
Yeah.
But in that situation, I would more than likely be, depending on how well I knew them, I would more than likely be the one to go to their house and show up if they haven't done anything, if they haven't reached out, if they haven't done anything to try and make themselves feel a little bit better. Because someone taking their own life is, how do I want to say this? Someone taking their own life is an absolute selfish way to solve a problem.
I was going to say, if you don't say it, I'm going to say it. It is selfish.
Yeah, it is a long-term solution to a short-term problem. I've said that multiple times before. And it doesn't... I've been there. I've been on the edge. But we'll get into that another time. Just because you think the world will be better without you doesn't mean it will. You affect so many other people's lives.
Well, just like this, if you think about this story, a woman takes her life, leaving a husband and a kid.
Yeah.
If you really look into that story, that is selfish.
That is 100%
it is sad.
selfish.
And it's more sad for the husband and the kid than for her.
Yeah.
Because, again, like you said, long term versus short term. If she was feeling some way, her husband's there. If he was making her feel that way, her friends are there. If her friends aren't, therapist is there. Her family is there.
There's always someone you can talk to.
Always.
Whether it be a therapist, your best friend.
A podcast named Mental Recovery.
Yeah, I was going to say a couple dudes on the internet just hanging out and trying to work through things.
And also Mental Recovery.
Yeah. I was implying us.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought you were thinking of somebody else. I watch too much Twitch.
It's true. Anyway, there's always someone out there that's
Always.
wanting and more than willing to help you. All you have to do is
Ask for help.
yeah, reach out, talk, tell someone. Don't hold it in. Holding it in is just going to make it worse, and it's going to fester like a rotten sandwich. It's going to get worse and worse and worse, and eventually, you're going to be almost in the same situation that the wife was in this story. You're going to feel hopeless and useless, and you're going to want to take your life.
And then with that, you have to look at it as the story. If you're leaving somebody, it's extremely hard for them as well. Because a lot of people don't think about it on when you do that, a lot of people blame themselves. A lot of your friends and family will blame themselves. But I'm not going to get too much into it. I'd much rather read your comments on the story.
Tell us what you think.
If you know somebody or you are somebody that is feeling that way, we also have a number on the bottom to call if you ever feel like you're not enough and you don't belong here. I'm telling you right now, you belong here. You are enough. There's a phone number if you need to call them. Suicide hotline. We will have it on the bottom of every podcast because we want to make sure that you guys know somebody is there. But for this story, we want to see your comments, see what you thought of it, see what you thought about us reading it. If you want one of us to read it, both of us to read it, how we did, whatever.
Yeah, give us your
suits.
feedback.
Yeah.
Give us your feedback. Leave it in the comments. Leave it on an email.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
In the Discord, anywhere.
Let us know. And tell us what you think we could do to make this better. Make it more...
I will not put a wig on, though. I'm saying that right now.
I would.
I know you would. That's why I'm saying I won't. But...
Let me get pasties.
Oh, God. But, again, we'll go through the comments. We'll see what you guys thought. See what you guys think. I want to thank you for joining us for another episode. I hope you liked the surprise. I hope you like seeing a story that we didn't write because that's less work for us to do, and I'm okay with it.
I love AI-generated stories.
It is pretty cool.
Yep.
But hopefully this next one, you guys will see more of us. Hopefully see you guys soon again. And just like always, know you're enough. Know you're loved. Thank you for listening to Mental Recovery.
Have a good night, everybody.